Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
You're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio, a program that brings to you the latest developments in business and economy cycles of Nigeria and, of course, in other parts of the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to look at the agribusiness and industry sector of Nigeria and see how that sector is faring and what we must do to improve it. And today we're looking at leveraging technology for youth development in the agriculture sector. That is one area that we are going to focus our attention to and see how we're going to do justice to it. I'm not alone in the studio, and I'll soon unveil my guest for you to see. But before we do that, as is very customary with us, we have to take some news tidbits on issues surrounding business and investment in Nigeria and other parts of the world. And in the news, President Muhammadu Buhari and other world leaders are to raise $5 billion to support the education sector in about 90 countries, where 80% of holding in a European country will, along with other leaders, seek to raise a fund from donors across the globe. The United Kingdom and Kenya are to jointly host the meeting tagged Global Partnership for Education, GPE. The summit will be urging world leaders to invest in education and improve access for girls. Still in the news, the charge d'affaires of the United States Embassy in Abuja, Kathleen Fitzgibbon, has joined Air Marshal Oludayo Isiaka Amao, the Nigerian Chief of Air Staff, and his leadership team to inspect the newly arrived first 6 American Sierra Nevada Corporation Embra Defense and Security, known as A-29 Super Tucano light attack aircraft, as they arrived in Nigeria. These aircraft represent an historic level of cooperation achieved between the U.S. and the Nigerian militaries. The Super Tucano platform for Nigeria is the United States' largest foreign military sales program in sub-Saharan Africa, valued at almost $500 million. This program follows the Department of Defense's total package approach model and includes spare parts for several years of operation, contract, logistics support, munitions, and a multi-year construction project to improve Kainji's infrastructure. Through this program, the U.S. Air Force 81 Force Fighter Squadron at Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, trained Nigerian pilots and maintenance crews to U.S. standards. Training also emphasizes the law of armed conflict and civilian casualty mitigation, which are fundamental principles of the Nigerian military's professional education and training. Still in the news, the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Ono, has said that more investment in science, technology, and innovation is a sure way Nigeria and other African countries can harness their enormous human and material resources to grow their economies and reduce youth unemployment. The minister said this at his investiture as the patron for the upcoming Sahel Military Games conferred on him by the Organization for Military Sports in Africa, OSMA, in Abuja yesterday. Onu said that African youths must be encouraged to study subjects bordering on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for their respective countries to achieve sustainable and meaningful development. He noted that the Sahel Military Games, which will be held in Nigeria, will help integrate African armies and foster peace in the Sahel region. That is it for the news. When we come back after the short break, we shall be discussing the issues of leveraging technology for youth development in the agriculture sector. That's when we return.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. I'm being joined by Mr. Anthony Oko, an analyst on business and economy cycles. And we're going to look at the issue of leveraging technology for youth involvement in agricultural development in Nigeria. Mr. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, when in the news, we heard that the Minister of Science and Technology is calling for the Nigerian and African youth to embrace technology, which will add value to whatever they are doing in virtually every sector of Nigeria's life. Now, let's zero it down to the issue of agriculture, which is quite important in the development of any nation. What do you see as a nexus between agriculture and technology? The connection between Agric and technology.
Of course, we live in an ever-changing world, and with internet, a whole lot of things have changed with the Internet of Things and then the introduction of technology. So the agriculture sector is not left out. Farming like we have it today is not like what we had in the days of our parents, where they have to go with and all those manual labor thing. With technology now, there's so much more that can be done in the area of agriculture that does not require so much labor, physical labor. And that should be a good attraction for the youth to come into the agric sector in the bid to improve the country's food security.
All right, thank you so much for that submission. There's one area that we often try to look at when we're talking about engaging the young people into agricultural sector, also helping them with some technological equipment to be able to realize that dream. And at a point, we're talking about, is it investing in buying tractors for, like how many number of Nigerians? Can we quantify the number of tractors, the ratio of farmers available in Nigeria? That becomes a very difficult thing to do, because obviously we do not have that facility as much as we desire. So some time ago, I think an ambassador, ambassador of Belarus, once in a press conference told Nigerians that his country, of course, Belarus is very, very good in manufacturing tractors, that his country has, they can liaise with the Nigerian authorities and even the state government to as well get more tractors, to Nigerian to help the youth to acquire, to get involved in real massive agriculture. But that has not happened, maybe as a result of some other inexplicable factors, usually surrounding some of the policy statements and policy issues that we take in Nigeria. So going, how do you think we should manage this situation, for instance, in order to, because we're talking about attracting the young people. You can imagine a community that are used to local implement, and then being introduced to tractors, something that vast acres of land that maybe 1,000 people can tilt in 100 days. One tractor or two tractors can do that in 10 days. You can see that is an attraction. The issues are the labor is minimal, but the productivity is maximum. So how do you see that situation?
Yes, I think government need to go via the area of sensitization.
Yes.
There has to be a whole lot of sensitization, getting the Nigerian youth to realize that there's a lot has changed in the whole agriculture value chain with the introduction of technology. Getting them to know that there are, you don't have to go via the usual, what we've always known, using local implements to farm. getting them to become aware of how they can use technology for crop production, for planting, for even the aerial survey, land survey, and so many other things. There are technology that can be deployed into all this, that you can even stay in a room like we're staying in this studio and monitor your farm using an implement on your, either on your phone or on your computer. So technology has made farming so easy that it should be a major attraction for the youth. So like I said earlier, government will have to go through the route of sensitization, getting people from across the globe who have done these things and it has worked, and bringing a whole lot of youths together to be able to tell them the different ways that you can deploy technology to make farming very easy. And that way, once you are able to sell that idea to them, letting them know that they don't have to do it the old ways, the way our parents did it, always having to, if you can recall those days, our grandfathers, great grandfathers, they had to marry many wives,
yes,
and have so many children so that they will be able to cultivate enough land to be able to feed and then make ends meet generally. But all of that has changed with the introduction of technology, with tractors, with planters, with harvesters, with all those things. And so this is one of the area, beyond getting to the point where government has to come in to begin to make these things available for the youth to deploy in actual farming. It's important that government takes sensitization to schools, take sensitization to colleges, starting from the grassroots. We can even start from the secondary schools, getting them at that young level to be interested in agriculture, and then at that young level programming their minds already to know that there's so much that you can do with Agric using technology. And that way, once they have that mindset coming up, getting them to embrace that area that is very, very important for the development of our nation will be easier. I think, like I said, sensitization is the first route for us right now.
Sensitization is key to motivating the young people to embrace technology. Yes, indeed, that is very, very significant. However, there is also some level of investment needed to be done by the government in that sensitization process. Because if you need to bring in the equipment, you have to bring it in a number that will be just enough to carry on with the kind of program that you want to do. And it should be massive enough to engage as many as the young people who can also get involved in it. Because the young people are technology savvy these days. Very savvy these days with all the computers and all the, even their mobile phones, they can do a lot of wonders with it. So we're talking about deploying that energy, that skill, that expertise of the young people, using technology to move it. As you were saying, you are talking about also using expansive nature of technological driven process. And I was struck by one an experience I had when I traveled to Israel in 2010. Now there you see where actually technology drives agriculture in the real sense of the word. Now you can see there's something, look, an amazing experience we had when we visited one farm, and that was a cattle farm where you see people how they ranch their cattle. You see computer chips strapped on each of the cattle. Each one has a name. A computer chip strapped in the hind leg of one of the legs of each of the cows there. And then what does that do for each of the cows there? What it does is that to monitor the movement, including the temperature of the cows, to also understand the kind of food that they even need, the quantity of water they need when they become sick. So it has a central server where it passes all this information to. So it is a wonderful experience, and I felt that coming home here, I think that kind of experience. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It can be replicated here, especially
Yes.
now that we are having crisis in the country of headers, farmers, and all those kind of things. I think it is time that we deploy that kind of technology. What do you see, especially on this issue of, to address the issue of farmers, headers, clashes?
Yes, I like you rightly mentioned. Technology, when it comes to this issue of headers, would really go a long way in solving this issue if those who are behind it would be open to that reasoning. So we know there's been a lot of back and forth on open grazing, on ranching, and all that. The world over has moved away from open grazing. Most of the ranches world over, like we are talking about technology now, they use technology, and it's so easy to do all of this. So I think that is an area that government has to keep be proactive about, and not just leave it to to allow itself to be, how will I put it, like as if they have to develop the will,
Yes,
the willpower
the will.
to be able to do something
like that.
decisively in that area. But I think right now I would say that the youth are somehow also deploying technology in
Yes.
Agric, though it may not be in the, I know there are some that are done some things in the real farming aspect, but when it comes to the agric value chain,
value chain.
in terms of distribution of agric products, I have come across a technologically driven innovation that links farmers with those who want to buy, that links farmers with the market. So these are small steps that are already being taken. And I feel that if government starts from there, from what is already being done, and then begins to expand it, letting them know that beyond the distribution of agri, beyond linking farmers to markets, using uh, some apps and so on, that it can be deployed beyond that, so that they will leave, not only will they focus on distribution, they will be able to move their interest beyond mere distribution of the products to the real core planting and harvesting.
All right, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. We're still talking about leveraging the technology for youth empowerment in agriculture. I'm still here with Nse, and we're doing justice to the very topic that is fundamental to national development. Now, Nse, there's something again that we look at when we talk about leveraging technology. Now, Nigerians produce a lot of fruits, especially now in the rainy season. You can see, there are some particular fruits that are identified, or that you can find as much as possible in this time. Now, but sometime later, you will not find them in that kind of, in large quantity. Yes. Now, there is this technology, we're told, that is being used to process these items, these fruits, probably into canned food items, And then, of course, there are some other technology they use also in preserving them, even in their natural state, and they will last longer. Now, we're having a crisis of not being able to deploy those kind of things in the manner that is possible for us here. But if you look at the Benue State, for instance, natural state, and other, the food belt of the country, they produce a lot of this. But at the end of the day, we lose some of them because we can't add value to them because of lack of deploying this technology. What do you think we should do now? Even if getting some of the smaller guys, because I know if you go to a country like China, you have some of these gadgets that they can actually use to preserve even tomatoes, even oranges and bananas and the rest for quite a longer time. But what is happening here?
In fact, you mentioned tomatoes. If you go to some of these farmers markets, you would actually weep for this country. You will see heaps upon heaps upon heaps of tomatoes all rotting. Then if you go to the fruit markets, you will see heaps upon heaps upon heaps of different kinds of fruit, be it oranges, watermelon, pineapple, pawpaw, whatsoever food is in season at that particular point in time, you will see heaps and heaps of it all rotted and destroyed. And you are like, there are so many people, there are so many times that these things are so expensive that you can't even, the ordinary people cannot afford to get it. So why is this level of wastage still going on in this era when there is a high level of food insecurity?
Yes.
Because the issues with farmers and others have made farming so difficult that the little that the farmers are able to produce is not enough to feed everyone. So why waste it? If we're farming so little, why waste it? So these are the areas that we are talking about, that all these wastages can be minimized if technology is appropriately deployed. We can, like you pointed out, we can preserve those things. We can ensure that we have tomatoes all year round.
Yes.
We can ensure that orange juice, we have fresh orange juice very cheaply for the populace to enjoy.
Yes.
We can ensure that we have yam, for instance, can be made into so many things.
Potatoes too.
Potato, the same thing, can be made into so many things. There's the pellets. In fact, there are so many things. Nothing is there to waste in all of this food chain, and technology is there to make it very easy for those things to be achieved with minimal physical labor. So, like I said earlier, the government in particular and the agencies that are saddled with this responsibility is not enough right now to play lip service to deploying technology. It is time now for government to really look at the real issues and address them, so that whatever we are able to produce, and with the use of technology, we can also improve on the quantity that is being produced. We can improve on preservation. We can improve on the processing, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to have more than enough to feed our populace.
Oh yes, we have to do it this way all the time by investing more in technology to be able to get our agriculture sector very, very vibrant. We have a young population. We also have too many mouths to feed in Nigeria.
Sure.
The current population estimate is that we're over 200 million people, and it is actually growing in astronomical proportions, if you ask me, because I once said that our economy is growing at 1.9 or barely 2% per annum. And then the population is growing at 3.2% per annum. So you can see there's already a problem. We are being overstretched. And then we need a lot of leverage in this sector, deploying technology. But one thing I have to ask you finally, just in a couple of seconds before we go, is that technology, apart from Nigeria waiting for what we can get from outsiders, is there any way we can deploy start growing indigenous technology now? As the Minister of Science and Technology said yesterday, we must embrace science, technology, and innovation for us to grow, because the nations of the world, you hear them, big nations of the world like Japan, US, China, Britain, and the rest of them, all grew because of technology. If you look at the history of industrialized society, it's that technology that made them what they are today. So how do we begin to indigenize technological thinking and technological productivity in Nigeria going forward? That's the couple of seconds, please.
Yes, we can do that. Remember at the beginning, I mentioned taking this thing to the
Grassroots.
grassroots,
Yes.
and then taking it to our institution of learning.
Yes.
We have engineering departments in all universities, and if this is made, so far Nigerians do not seem to respect or honor what comes from them. We seem to prefer things that are from outside. There are little technology. We can start from what we have here. Students developing something. If you create like a competition and say, we want you to come up with
yes.
A technology that we can use to preserve, for instance, tomatoes, and you throw it open
instead of doing BB.
Yes, instead of doing, and you throw it open,
yes.
And then you see a lot of science students coming up with so many ideas, and whichever one wins, government takes it up from there and begins to improve it, and a lot of innovation into it. We can start from there. It's somewhere to start.
All right. We've been talking about leveraging technology for youth development in Nigerian agricultural sector. And I've had some wonderful moments here with Nse Anthony Unko. It's been nice having you here.
Thank you.
And just like he says, she's admonishing the government to do more investment in the agri sector by motivating the young people to take careers in agriculture, especially also embracing science and technology by way of learning. It is on that note that Nigeria will develop its potentials in the agri sector and also maximize those potentials to actualize the wealth and the dreams of a nation in that regard, so that we can actually join the Community of Nations who have become self-reliant in food production and in other areas of need. It is on that note that we draw the curtains on today's edition of Money Radio. We promise to give you a bumper edition of the program when next will come. Thank you and remain blessed.